A very warm welcome to all you children of Mother India. Today is a historic day. Today is a day which we can proudly say we are well on our way to being a Vishwaguru, what other countries call a superpower. And this has been achieved against or with a Islamic nation. Why am I saying the word Islamic nation in quotes? Because it's a news concerning Qatar. Islamic nation was a word used by so many people, secular lobby in India, to mock the prime minister. This is a news concerning 8 ex-Navy officers who were suddenly, out of the blue, for no rhyme or reason, imprisoned in Qatar. Not only imprisoned in Qatar, they were arrested on 30th August 2022. There is a huge expatriate community living in Qatar. Out of this, these 8 Navy officers were arrested, ex-Navy officers, and no reasons were given, no details were given, no knowledge was shared with the Indian embassy. And therein the story starts, where an entire lobby started mocking Prime Minister Modi. What is he doing that ex-Navy officers are being arrested? I will cover the inside details of what happened today, how that case proceeded, how victory was achieved against Qatar and against all these people mocking not the prime minister, the status of India itself, that India cannot secure its citizens. And also, in the end, watch till the end. There is this one video you have to definitely see. All of you joining for the first time, please subscribe to the channel, follow it, share it. As I promised, I will do videos in the English language more frequently, and that is why I am doing this. This is actually a global news. This is the news every nation must see, because a lot of nations suffer this fate of their citizens in some other part of the country suffering, being imprisoned, or being in some difficulty. India does not allow that. Erstwhile, not US is still there, but earlier only US used to manage that. But the speed by which India is managing it, the efficiency by which India is managing, is to be seen. Firstly, the facts. You all know the brief facts. That on 30th August 2022, 8 ex-Navy officers were arrested, put to jail, and then suddenly it came to light that they have been sentenced to death. Death penalty given. The reason which came out was that they are spies for Israel. Now understand the geopolitics. Indian social media, and I'm very clear about that. Israelis have time and again thanked Indian social media, that Indian social media was extremely important in busting the narrative, in supporting them. Otherwise, they are outnumbered to a ratio which is not even a ratio. They were fighting Hamas, and Hamas sympathizers are across the world. And they were being complete. And what comes in media, that builds a narrative. That narratives leads to politicians across the globe acting. That leads to industrial houses acting. We saw what happened in Harvard, whereas so many benefactors of Harvard and these foreign universities withdrew their support because the student population there was supporting Hamas, was attacking Israel. So Israel thanked Indian social media for supporting them. Also behind the scenes, Indian government's role, diplomatic, military engagement has constantly increased with Israel. The Prime Minister has a special bond with Israel, and in fact, as you know, for the first time, the cooperation level with Israel has risen to this level. And I'm thinking the first time an Indian Prime Minister went to Israel was also this. But anyways, that's all in the background. So suddenly, Qatar, which is the headquarter of Hamas, this is the background story. The headquarter of Hamas is Qatar. Qatar supports so many activities and organizations like Hamas globally. So Qatar did not like that. It wanted to arm twist India. It found a frivolous reason, a non-existent reason, but there is no democracy there. The emir, the king, the monarch decides everything. So these people get arrested. No consular access, nothing, death sentence. And then the mocking starts. The first appeal also dismissed. Very dark, very bleak days. Very dark, very bleak days for the Navy officers, for their families, and for India. That any Indian can be picked up on no rhyme or reason, whims and fancies, and given a death penalty. And then see Mr. Owaisi, the tweet. In August, I had raised the issue of ex-naval officers stuck in Qatar. Today, they have been sentenced to death. Narendra Modi has boasted about how much Islamic countries love him. He must bring back our ex-naval officers. It's unfortunate that they failed this role. Boasted Islamic countries. Qatar is an Islamic country. And trying to, it's not about Modi having good relationships with Islamic countries, it is India and your trade, and you have to coexist, you have to have relationships. But the mocking, you know how these tweets are framed. So many showing tension and expressing concern for these Navy officers, whereas the reality was there is a quiet sense of being able now to question the prime minister, ridicule him, mock him without thinking that these are Indians in the jail and we have to speak with one voice. Islamic nations. Why only this? You see Jairam Ramesh of Congress. You see that. Great anguish, great disturbance, great shock. रवीश कुमार 8 पूर्व सैनिकों को जासूसी आरोपों में मृत्युदंड. दोनों खबरें अलग अलग खबरों पे पन्नों पे छपी हैं. See the constant. Oh, the Congress president. You have to see the words of the Congress president. Modi government's weak surrender has exposed their tall claims of making India Vishwaguru. MEA says charges have not been shared so far. Modi government's weak surrender. Vishwaguru. See, there is this term Vishwaguru. Why would not every Indian want this term to become a reality? It's a tall claim. It's a difficult target. How many Vishwagurus? Vishwaguru is different from a superpower, but let's say for English translation, it's a superpower. So, how many people will not want India to become a superpower? But why would you use it as a term in which you want to mock the prime minister? This is very clear, subtle mocking of the prime minister. Why? It's a difficult, very difficult target to achieve. But the prime minister is trying to achieve it. He's trying to work to it. To be a global superpower is not a joke. How many global superpowers are there? Frankly, there is only one, United States of America. There are some extremely important powers. That is also 2 or 3, objectively speaking. Maybe 2, objectively speaking. You are entering that league, or you are aiming to enter that league. You have said, this is my goal. Easy or difficult. And people who would want to stop you would be the existing superpowers. The existing extremely important powers. They don't want somebody else to come. They don't want somebody else to be on that stage. But when you saw Ukraine, Russia were happening, Mexico, the president of Mexico, nothing to do with Modi or Godi media or this media, that media, all that nonsense which is between Sagrika Ghosh, for example, Rajiv Sardesai's wife has become a TMC MP. These are the people who call media Godi media, well, themselves becoming Rajya Sabha MPs. But forget those terms in India. Forget that. Forget it. What is important is Mexico's president said Prime Minister Modi has an extremely important role in trying to resolve Ukraine-Russia crisis. Or for that matter, Russia giving us such cheap oil, good bond. Or for that matter, US selling us military technology, great bond. Even though there was also spin created there that the US has cancelled certain deals, which it hasn't cancelled. Again, the leftist media did it. But I don't want to go from the topic. I want to stick on the Vishwaguru. But these knowledge, these facts should be in your mind. So that's the attempt going on. That's mock. Supriya Shinte, Congress spokesperson and all, Sarkar kya kar rahi hai, iska stabd hai, wo stabd kyun? Forget all that. It's a good day. So let's focus. What happens? Now, experts were saying the best possible solution. We must know what is the best possible solution in a situation like that. There is a treaty with Qatar, which treaty says that if one country's courts convict you, you can be sent back to the nation to which you belong. Supposing Indian courts convict Qatari citizens, they can be sent back to Qatar to serve out their sentence in Qatar jail. In Indian context, if Qatar courts have convicted you, you can be sent back to India to. But that is also not happening because the appellate court upheld the death sentence. But then things started changing. Now, this is the inside part. There is reports, obviously it's a secret thing, that Ajit Doval went to Qatar, had a meeting there. There are reports of the foreign minister meeting the Qatari officials. Backroom ferocious channeling, ferocious peddling is happening that this is wrong. And then the first dim light of hope came where after 14th November, they had rejected the appeal that they allowed Counselor access. Under international law, it's compulsory to give counselor access to allow a person who is in trouble with law to meet the officials of his country, his embassy, lawyers, etc. So the first time that counselor access was allowed. Then second thing which came up, which is very important, is that then an appeal from the appellate court was admitted in court. It was admitted in court. Then suddenly news came that certain prisoners have been freed by the emir. They do that their national day or something on 8th December, but the Indians were not released. Again, a consistent attack by the entire ecosystem lobby, wanting to say India is not a powerful. The basic aim is to show India is not a powerful nation. The basic aim is to show that Modi's foreign policy is flopping. The basic aim is to show that we, our citizens, are not getting their due in the world. Whereas, frankly, this is the first time in history that our citizens are getting that sort of recognition in these countries when they come into trouble. Sushma Swaraj had once said, even if you are stuck in Mars as a foreign minister, India will bring you back. We saw what happened in China, how other countries' citizens were brought back by us along with ours. We were becoming a regional power in that sense, helping other nations across us. That's humanity. That's Vishwaguru. We were trying to do that, and we did that successfully. We did that successfully. Here it is a trouble with law, not a health crisis, not a thing like that. But the principle remains the same. Every Indian, anywhere in the world, has to be helped. But 8th December, when this news did not come, an entire ecosystem was very happy because they thought this will become a 2024 issue. And why is Modi quiet? Why is Modi quiet? Then what happens is the meeting of Prime Minister Modi in a neutral territory when they go for a summit in Dubai, a climate change summit. Their prime minister meets for the first time Qatar's ruler, Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani. This meeting, which is lasted for a significant length of time, people tell, for which Ajit Doval and Jai Shankar had in the back room come into some agreement, they say started bearing some fruit. And they also said that Modi there laid down certain guidelines that if you do not do this, then the consequences will be extremely grave for Qatar. The official statement only came, well-being of Indian community in Qatar was discussed. Well-being of what? You know the community. Now people say, why doesn't Modi speak? Modi did not speak when Balakot happened. Did not speak before Balakot, I mean to say, that what would he do in Balakot? How he will change India's security doctrine and attack Pakistan proper for a terror attack they had done. They had done 26/11. What was the response to that? No response. If somebody slaps you as an individual, you don't hit back, they slap you more, right? That's like in nations, they keep doing terror attacks. We never respond. We never respond. We don't teach them a lesson. This was the first time that not in POK, but in Pakistan proper area, which after partition definitely belongs to Pakistan as per them, though I think it will split up into multiple countries, not relevant over here, where Pakistan's landmass was attacked, not POK. That is a major shift. Wing Commander Abhinandan, how in 60 hours he was brought back. They don't talk about that. And here ex-Navy officers, after that meeting, with the efforts, today came back to India, and everybody knew after they had landed. When they were released, no news came out. Modi believes in that old saying, let your bat do the talking. About Sachin Tendulkar, he was never a person giving too many interviews when he was at his peak. They used to always say the best way of answering is to let your bat do the talking. That is what is happening. And these two videos, you must hear what after landing the Navy officer says in his own words. Two Navy officers. Here the first one, then the second one. And
without the intervention of Prime Minister Modi, it wouldn't be. आज हम आपके सामने खड़े नहीं हो रहे होते अगर intervention नहीं होता at that level, highest level. And especially government of India, उनके अथक प्रयास से कि वो consistently लगे रहे and we are there in front of you. Thank you.
Same thing.
We would not have been there in front of you without intervention at the highest level, the Prime Minister's level. Now, this is the Navy officer who was in jail, in Qatari jail, facing a death sentence. These are his words. after he lands in India. Here, the second Navy officer.
कि बहुत खुशी हो रही है कि वापस इंडिया पहुंच गए हम सेफ एंड साउंड और डेफिनेटली ऑनरेबल प्राइम मिनिस्टर श्री मोदी को धन्यवाद करना चाहेंगे कि
उनका पर्सनल इंटरवेंशन with his personal, underline the word, and these are Navy officers. The Army, Navy, Air Force doesn't speak too much. But when they speak, the ex-Navy officer is making it clear the personal intervention. The other Navy officer says the highest level intervention of the Prime Minister. So you may mock that India is claiming to be a Vishwaguru. You may mock that why is the Prime Minister not speaking? But he works, he delivers. His actions speak. And for an Indian, for any Indian in the world, it's a great news that if some nation puts you in jail, your nation, Bharat, is behind you, is trying its best, and its best is delivering the result, be it in any African country, European country, or Islamic nations, which certain people felt will be very tough and may carry out death sentence also, or put you in jail permanently. The highest, the best would be that you will have to serve jail sentence in Indian jail. That is also 10%, the best response possible. Prime Minister Modi did better than the best. They are home, they are safe, and they are free. Bharat Mata ki Jai.